Hi there, welcome back to the channel. This is a channel dedicated not only to my 2012 Jeep Rubicon, but to Jeeps in general. So today's video isn't one I'm particularly proud of. The reason is it involves me having to kind of redo a job that I basically just did. I was prepping for a couple trips that are coming up, and I figured, you know, I did change my seals. Let's test the front E-Locker. Well, it did lock, but the problem is it didn't unlock. I'm not sure if you've ever driven your Jeep with an engaged locker on pavement. Well, first of all, I wouldn't recommend it because I'm sure it's bad for pretty much everything, including your tires. But it's absolutely undrivable. Your Jeep is 100% undrivable, and it refused to unlock. Like, it would not unlock. I tried everything. I took the weight off the Jeep. I tried wiggling the wheels. I tried everything. So when I changed my seals, there's two mistakes I made. First mistake is, while the differential was out there on my workbench, I didn't bother to clean it. Secondly, when the diff cover was off and I was ready to kind of finalize my work, I didn't test the locker to make sure it was working. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you what steps to take to fix the issue and what steps to take to kind of prevent the issue.
This is a repair you can do out on the trail with minimal supplies, but I can tell you it won't be fun. It is, however, the only way you'll be able to drive your Jeep home. Here's what you'll need. You have to remove your diff cover to access the locking mechanism. As soon as I removed my cover, I saw that the E-Locker plate was in fact in the locked position, and it wasn't moving. If this does happen to you on the trail, just grab a flat blade screwdriver and give it a twist. So what caused this anyway? There are two possibilities here.
So what you got way back here is, it's called the plunger. Basically, it's the sensor that tells you if your diff is locked or if your diff is unlocked. So what can happen, and you have to be very careful of this when you're installing the carrier after changing your seals, for example, is you have to make sure that that plunger is on the passenger side of the locker plate. Because if it's not, the first time you engage the locker, the plunger is going to basically prevent the locker from unlocking. So you have to make sure that the plunger is on the right side of the actuator plate. Now, there's a really easy way to test this. When your diff is unlocked, just reach behind and wiggle your plunger. If it moves your plate, or if it has resistance when you're sliding with your finger, that means it's on the wrong side of this plate. You have to take your carrier out and you have to basically prop your plunger open with like a 1/2 inch washer on a string. Put your carrier in, pop the string out, then your plunger's perfectly seated. So, and when your diff is locked, the other way to test it is to do the same procedure, and you shouldn't have very much play on the plunger. So you want to make sure that the plunger is on the passenger side of the plate, not the driver's side. Again, if it's on the driver's side of the plate, it's going to prevent your locker from unlocking.
My plunger was properly installed. That meant that the locker mechanism just needed a cleaning. I then applied just a bit of diff oil and worked it in so that I could test it out. To test this, elevate your Jeep ensuring all 4 tires are off the ground. Engage 4 low and lock the diffs. The locking plate should move to the left. The indicator on your dash should stay solid, indicating that the diff is fully locked. When the unlock button is pressed, the plate should slide to the right. The lights on the dash should turn off, and the indicator should not be blinking. If it is, you have a bigger problem.
So the bigger problem I'm referring to is the electromagnet assembly. If you're still having problems with your E-Locker, chances are you need to replace that unit. It's not going to be cheap, so at this point you're going to find yourself at a crossroad. Investing in the E-Locker or biting the bullet and going with an air locker system at this time. The trails that I've gone on with Ruby haven't been super aggressive, and I haven't had to use my E-Lockers all that frequently, so like I said, fortunately for me, this was just a cleanliness issue. I did notice that the front locker was getting a bit lazy over the past year. The rear was engaging and disengaging, and then the front locker was just kind of
taking its time. So what actually happens is, because I mentioned the electromagnet, because it is essentially a magnet, you can have metal filings floating around inside your fluid, and that's perfectly normal. But what happens is when the magnet's engaged, it can attract some metal filings and they can kind of end up going into places they shouldn't. This is why I've now kind of put cleaning out my E-Locker assembly onto my annual, or at least my every other year maintenance plan. So on an older Jeep, you know, even you guys with 2019 JLs out there, this is something you may want to at least think about as a preventative maintenance measure, because you really don't want to do this repair on the trail. But if you do have to do this repair on the trail, it's really not too bad. The one thing you do need is a Lube Locker. That will eliminate the need for you to carry silicone, and it's kind of an instant seal. Also carry whatever tools you need to get your diff housing off, a flat blade screwdriver to just kind of prop that the slide open if it is stuck in the locked position, and then obviously your favorite fluid. So it is a fairly basic repair that you can do on the trail. I have seen online a few guys are strategically drilling holes in their diff cover so that they can just take out a grub screw, stick in their flat blade, you know, give it the twist and unlock the mechanism without having to take the diff cover off, and more importantly, without having to drain any fluid. I mean, I've got ARB diff covers that are super thick, so for me, not really an option. So, I mean, my plan for now is just to carry the tools with me just in case I have to do this repair on the trail. So I once again find myself at a crossroads. Do I want to stick with E-Locker and, you know, carry the tools with me for performing this upgrade on the trail if I have to? Or do I go with, you know, an ARB system, 35 spline, go big or go home, as they say? So again, I am at a crossroads. Until that time, that's kind of a wrap for this video, and I hope you found this useful. And if you did, please smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all out on the trail. Hopefully not with a stuck E-Locker. I'm out of here.